Hello, 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 everyone. This is episode number 53 with Truth Be Told podcast. I am your host, Brittany, and we have a great one for you today, guys. Happy New Year. I have not been on the scene in about a couple of weeks, so please forgive me. Today, we do have Mr. Raymond Kemp in the building, and we are talking about how important it is to get in the room. How are you doing today, Raymond?
I'm motivated, prepared to serve. How are you?
I hear that. I love that. I'm prepared to serve as well. That's what it's all about, right?
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
I haven't seen you in a while, so I'm definitely excited to see you. I definitely want to know what you've been up to. Y'all, Raymond is the jack of all trades. He's definitely a great leader. He is a keynote speaker. He's a Y coach, which I definitely want to know more about that, a certified Y coach.
Yes.
He's also a presidential appointee, which I was like, oh my gosh, Raymond.
Feeling like something. Feeling like something.
Yes. And then he's also a Navy combat, and he's just got so much more he can tell us about and
Sure.
tell us how important it is to get in the room. So thank you, Raymond. Thank you so much.
Truly, a pleasure to be here. And I will say that, diverse organizations, large and small, call me in as a leadership expert to help develop loyalty, resilience, to help with internal strife, perhaps, and even dealing with some of the challenges that we have just in the world. I mean, because what ends up happening is in a situation in the state of America right now, the challenges that we have politically speaking, the social challenges that we've been enduring over the last probably 3 years, and even with the pandemic and the residue from the pandemic, it causes a measure of stress and strife in the workplace. And so what I like to do is get called in to help leaders communicate with folks on how to press their way through there and to deal with those challenges. My hope truly is not only to help people master the path to leadership, but to also change the world. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I'd like to imagine going to work and you're treated with a high level of dignity and respect. You have peers and subordinates and leaders who sincerely care about you. Can you imagine that workplace? You look forward to going in, dealing with people. You have been given the tools, parts, and materials to work on your job and to do it to the best of your ability. You're comfortable doing that. There's training available. That's a place you want to go to. And what would happen, and what does happen in places where that's already occurring, is that measure of dignity and respect translates to the household. And you treat your family members with dignity and respect. What happens then is it goes into society, and then we change the world. And so that's what Kemp Solutions is all about. That's what my intention was in starting Kemp Solutions. And I believe that we're giving gifts to give away. And so it just so happens, 33 years in the United States Navy, in combat environments and in diplomatic environments, have given me a perspective that's probably different than most people.
Yes, you got to tell us a little bit more about your background, Raymond, because I think with you being in those different places and getting in the room in those places, you have been able to leader and not just just not around your neighborhood, but just in America. Like you have been in different situations to where you know how important it is to be disciplined and obedient to what you're trying to do. And seeing that this is a new year, I definitely want you to talk to the people about, everybody's always like, new year, new me. And it's 2023. It's the beginning of the year. I don't know if you even do New Year resolutions. I don't. But I do stick to goals. I'm very big on making sure we push through these goals. So tell us a little bit more about what made you get into Kemp Solutions and how you know how important it is to get in the room.
Sure. So there's a couple things right there. So let me kind of jump back to what is common in my community, and that is for people to say "New Year, New Me," and for them, I guess that's okay. I would prefer, and I had a conversation with someone the other day. Their perspective is New Year, more me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to be more of who I am authentically. I want to be more of who I am sincerely. I want to be bold and courageous. I want to stand and occupy the space in which I stand. That to me is way better than I'm going to be brand new again. Come on now. You're 30 years old, 50 some odd years old. You're new again? What
Yeah.
are you doing? Make a decision and drive on. So when it comes down to resolutionists, I have nothing against them, and if that works for some people, for sure. There's some people
Mm-hmm.
who say, okay, this year I'm going to go higher. This year I'm going to go faster. This year I'm going to slow down. I'm going to focus, be a little bit more intentional, and they make those shifts, and it's great for them. And I encourage that. It is important to know who you are.
Oh
And
gosh.
be
I'm
here.
still learning who I am, Raymond.
Mm,
This year when I started, I just said, last year I just wanted to look back and just think about how much I've overcome because sometimes we always want to beat ourselves down. We
mm,
always want to say, gosh, I'm not doing this. I'm 30 something years old. I'm still here,
sure.
but it made me just appreciate where I am now. I'm still shouting out Sean Croxton in 2023
Heck yeah.
because
Oh my God.
when
Oh,
I
yeah.
tell you that was the first room that I was in that was around like-minded people, and you guys still embrace me. I still follow you guys. I still love you guys
Yeah.
because it just made me realize that this type of world, like you said, is shifting. People don't realize it's like right-minded people, or you got the right side of the brain, and then you got the left side of the brain.
Right.
And then the left side of the brain is more of doctors, accountants, lawyers,
Right.
and then you have the right side of the brain where it's more of empathy and artistic type of people, big thinkers and stepping out the box. And people don't really realize that the world is shifting.
Right.
And it's scary because I'm still kind of my father taught me and my mom, go to school, go to college, get a good job.
Sure.
And I always thought if I went to school, went to college, and graduated and got a good job, that I would be rich.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I was still in a fantasy world. But when I did all of that, and I was like, well, where's all the money at?
I
So
think
I think it's just so important for people to know where we're at and where we're headed in 2023. I think that's important too. Can you talk a little bit more about that as you've been around important leaders and learned during those roles?
sure. What I would say is that to your point, it's super important, to know ourselves. There is someone who once said, "To thine own self be true,"
Mm-hmm.
and you can only be true to yourself when you know thyself. And so,
Mm-hmm.
to understand, who you are, I agree is very very important. And I'll tell you, just like your parents told you, and mine, and I told my children as they were coming up and growing. Yes, be diligent. Go out. Go to school, learn how to show your ability to learn and retain information
Mm-hmm.
by attaining a degree, and then find yourself in the business world looking for a job that makes you feel fulfilled and satisfied. And I'll tell you, one of the big changes that from the time when you were a child and your parents were telling you, and my children were younger and I was telling them, the world has come a lot more agile.
Mm-hmm.
The days of go to a company, go to GM or go to Boeing or some company like that, some big, large, older company with a long runway,
Mm-hmm.
join them and stay until you're done, and then you retire and go into the happily ever after. We're in a place now in society where not only is it acceptable, it's accepted and expected that young people now, they'll go to a job. If they dig it, they'll stay maybe a little while, then they'll move on to something else that may give them a higher level of satisfaction. Let's say in some measure of a social movement, they'll stay there for a while. And well, let's say now they're more concerned or more thoughtful about the world, and so they want to go do another job that has an impact that aligns with their world level values, and so they'll move on and on and on. Whereas in days gone by, your parents and myself included grew up in an environment where you go one place or maybe two,
Mm-hmm.
depending on as you're discovering, your way. Maybe you get promoted or your skill sets have changed and you change a job. Then and only then not changing a job because of a social perspective or a worldview, which is where we are right now. And so my hope for people, first and foremost, is that they're paying attention to what's happening in their particular sphere of expertise, knowing that, for example, in the information systems world, that it is changing in leaps and bounds with artificial intelligence. And so being aware of what that may mean for the future, but being aware of what information security, the concern that we have for that now, as the World Wide Web is literally a World Wide Web, and we might end up in a situation like the FAA when there's an outage and all of a sudden we're down for a couple of hours, all aircraft across the United States. And so it's important to realize, okay, in your sphere of expertise, when it comes to after your college education, or for those who chose not to go to college and just, let's say, picked up a skill through some sort of a technical institute or mechanical institute, in that area of expertise, what is currently happening? Is it acceptable to hop from, let's say, Mercedes-Benz to Volkswagen to Porsche to General Motors vehicles? If you're a mechanic, is it acceptable? And what are those opportunities? And I think when we take a look at the landscape, just kind of do some visioneering for ourselves, look forward at our profession, then we can determine what does that future look like from our perspective. Now, to the point that we've discussed via email,
right?
It's important to have someone in the room. It's important to have a coach who has let's say, a higher level, or maybe perhaps even just a different and maybe a different perspective than you have, so that they can help you forecast what the future looks like beyond what your vision may be. So in my career, I started off as, E1, most junior person in the military. When I retired, I was one of practically the most senior person there. And that pathway for me wasn't filled with people who looked like me, thought like me, who were in the room representing me. And so when I was able to get to the table, and I'll admit, I wasn't necessarily invited to the first table I sat at, but I happened to bring a folding chair.
Right.
Sat myself down at that table and was able to confidently articulate what the challenges that were being faced, different than the people in the room. And so, and I'll just give you a super quick story. There's a bunch of middle-aged men, white men, who were deciding that women should wear their hair pulled back in a bun or pulled back into a French roll. If they were Black women, they were allowed to wear cornrows straight to the back only. I mean, like Cleo and Set It Off. That's the only, style that they were able to grow their hair. And as a man who grew up with 6 aunts and a mom who were doing hair all the time, I realized that, and a father of 3 daughters who didn't have chemicals in their hair growing up, I realized that if you're snatching your hair back all the time, you're going to have a negative impact on your hairline. If you're snatching your hair back and into braids, it's going to have a negative impact on the density of your hair. And so it would be more beneficial health-wise in the long run for them to be allowed to wear braids, to be allowed to different styles of braids, and maybe a ponytail or even dreadlocks. And thankfully, because of my willingness and others to bring that to the table, we're able to make a change. And now women in the Navy are allowed to wear braids in different styles, as well as dreadlocks, as well as wear ponytails instead of just snatching their hair back all the time. The importance of having someone in a room in an enterprise like the Navy to represent folks like that, as well as having a personal coach who can help you see a greater distance, is just invaluable. It's invaluable.
It's just so amazing, Raymond, because I didn't even realize the importance of being in the room with like-minded people that think above you or know more than you. When you're in a room with people who, and I'm not saying they're not educated or they don't understand what's going on, but when they have low vibration thinking, when they're thinking about surface level thinking, sometimes just being around like you guys just just encouraged me to keep going because I know that there are so many more people out there like that. I commend you for being in the room and being one of the first in the room with, middle-aged white men and people that don't look like us, and that you can represent us and let them know, like, hey, okay, we can be in the room too.
Right.
Or we can create our own room,
Right. Build
That's
our own
one thing too. Yes. I think that's so much important because at the beginning you were talking about how sometimes, this year that slogan that drives me crazy, New Year, New Me, being more of you in 2023 more important because you haven't changed much. Say New Year, me coming from December 31st, 2022 to January 1st, 2023. It's more of you learning who you are. And as time goes by, Raymond, I'm learning so much more of me. And I'm just thankful for like people like you that I know, like, okay, this is what it's all about. And to tell people, I try to tell people, that this type of thinking is real, that you can. And because some people don't believe it, Raymond. Like, and I don't know if maybe I'm just not around the right people sometimes, but whenever I'm talking this way or in this way, as far as forward thinking, positive thinking, I really think it demonstrates the type of era you're around, the type of people you want to be around, and you can bring those type of people in the room with you. They are willing to be type of people and grow. As you are in the new year, have you learned as far as like productivity and habits, like how important it is to have high standards or high habits? What are you learning with that? I know you're already into that type of field, but through Kemp Solutions, what can you tell the audience?
I would say that there is great value in predictability. When it comes down to, for example, having a morning routine, each night before I go to bed. Well, let me start the other way. Have a nighttime routine that supports your morning routine. For example, a person who intentionally sets out their clothes, for the next day. And I'm a workout person, so I have my gym clothes set out. I have my work clothes, the clothes I'm going to wear for the work day set aside. And I take the time to write down 2 things that are, let's say, my big goals for the day. And I'll write those out. And then, Britt, I mean, call me crazy, but I'll read them out loud because I know that I come from a community where we say faith comes by hearing. And so that means my own voice as well. And so I'll write down 2 things, I'll read them aloud, and then I'll take the time to allow myself to imagine what it feels like to attain those things. And then I'll shut it down, I'll go to bed. That's just my routine. Now, what I have created, though, is one, it's the predictability. I have gotten rid of the decision of the morning of what am I going to wear to the gym? What am I going to wear to work? That decision's already made. I've saved that already. And I've planted a seed for my expectations in the morning. So I wake up already knowing what I'm going to do. So, so the morning time rolls around and there's about 10 things that I do. I'm a victory collector. So I want to win before I deal with people. And so I wake up in the morning, I immediately stand up, turn around, and I make the bed. Victory number 1. I'll go in, I'll do my hygiene, victory 2. I'll take my vitamins, victory 3. I'll shift into the clothes that I'm going to wear to the gym. Then I will meditate. Then I'll sit down, I'll write my prayers in cursive. And then next thing you know, I'm on my way to the gym and I've got 5, 7 victories already stacked up. So that momentum is already going. I've created predictability in my day. What happens, and what I know to be true, is that when we stack habits on top of the habits that we already have in place, then we create an environment of predictability, and confidence grows in that predictability. Now, I'm not saying that, keep your left, right lateral limit so close that you can't maneuver. It is important to be dynamic, agile, mobile, and hostile is what we'd say in the Navy. So you want to be able to move that left, right lateral limit outwards. And so still leaving yourself space to change your mind, make different types of decisions. Other people may come into play, or situations, circumstances may require you to pivot, and that's important to be agile enough to do those things. But a lot of words right there. What I say is, as I've moved into 2023, one of the things that I have been seeing is the value of good habits, and the people who have them in place, their willingness to share them so that others, and we're 14 days in, but it's just been a trend that I have seen over these 14 days, is that more and more I have noticed people with habits or routines that they have been sharing with others. And people, and maybe it's because of the new year. Maybe it's, I'm going to try something different in my resolution. Maybe that's the reason why. But I know for myself personally, there's great value in having a routine, having good habits. It's the same when it comes to eating. Say when I go to the gym, there's various different exercises I do for my workouts, and so I know that those workout routines work, so I keep doing them.
Oh my gosh, Raymond, I am struggling in that area. I need you because I know, like, the mind frame, the mindset. Okay, Brittany, you're good at that. You're being consistent. You're getting up. You're doing your routines. You're meditating. You're getting in your journal. You're walking.
Yeah.
I've started a new job. Well, I started last year, and it still kind of has me off balance. Because I'm still like, okay, I need to like center myself before I go into this office.
Right. I get it.
Yeah. So what are some tips that you could give me, and then other people, as far as just their eating habits? It's hard. It's really hard to change. What are just some small things that you can give me when I'm trying to change my eating habits?
When it comes to eating habits, to look at the non-sweet intake that you have. And so, for example, if you're going to have a snack during the day, I would encourage you to stay away from things that are salty. Okay. And so, if you like pistachios, for example, okay, you can have them roasted, but just don't get salted. Same thing with sunflower seeds, almonds, whatever the case may be. And then when it comes down to, let's say if you want to have a fruit snack, because from most of our perspective is, well, I have some fruit, that's not the same as eating a Jolly Rancher, which is true. So, but if you stay away, from something that might be overly sweet, and you have something like a banana, vice an apple, or a banana instead of cherries, then it's got less sugar in it, and then it will be less triggering when it comes down to wanting more of that, that dopamine, serotonin release that we get when we have sugar, right? So that would be those things would be my encouragement. Stay away from salted and sweet things when you snack, and then always be conscious of your water. There's no magic number, by the way. If you drink a gallon of water a day, it's going to do this. No. I mean, I'm 240 pounds, so it's not that you drink a gallon of water a day and you wash out the good and the bad. You don't want that. So find that sweet spot for you.
I commend you, Raymond, because you I definitely have been following you for the last 2 years. I have been following you, so I definitely appreciate everything you're doing. You're already walking this walk and talking this talk. So and it shows that you take care of your body. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to yes, I'm like, I need to be consistent, Brittany, be consistent. So all of the things that you have been telling us as far as getting in the room and being mindful and being intentional of what we're trying to do and seeking clarity, all of those things are helpful. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Very welcome. And if I could just kind of jump in, you said mindful. That mindfulness meditation is just such a very, 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 very true thing. As a combat veteran, we learned how to kind of center ourselves, to get into a measure of focused intensity so that we can pay attention. The same thing occurs with professional athletes. They have a means of pre-game meditation. They have a way of breathing to kind of settle down some measure of anxiety that may come before play, let's say, whether it be in practically every sport. And that's just something that I think that we should use, and I would encourage you to use as you go into the workplace. You need to 4 second inhale and a 6 second exhale. Will that be helpful to kind of settle things down before you go into whatever that challenging, and not just you, for all of us,
Right.
whatever that challenging environment may be. And that's something that I have been practicing since 2019.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna remember that as I go into the office. I'm gonna slow down and give myself time to just take a moment and do those deep breaths, because I know that those help as well. Being in Texas, Raymond, I'm not used to this traffic. Right. So that, I think for me, like coming from North Carolina, I'm just like, whoa, like that sometimes I have a meltdown. Like in the mornings, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like
That's so funny. That is so funny. So when I retired in Virginia Beach, I spent about a year there, and then I came out here to Dallas. But I lived in DC and lived in San Diego, super high traffic areas.
Right.
And I would say, they're talking about this is Texas traffic. This isn't real traffic. But now that I've been here for 2 years, I'm like, whoa.
Right.
To me, now it's traffic too. So it's interesting. But I'll tell you, it is a great time. And I was talking, one of my clients is a former professional golfer. And he was saying he would use traffic as time to practice golf. I mean, because you want to be able to focus, you want not be distracted, not be allow the traffic situation to create an anxious environment. So he would use traffic as time for practice, rehearsing focus.
I love that.
I'm
definitely going to remember that when I'm sitting and I'm stopping and I'm going, Raymond.
Absolutely. Me and you both. That's so funny.
But before we let you go today, I'm definitely not going to take up much of your time. I wanted you to just give some encouraging words. If there's anything that you can say, especially as a Black man, I'm just grateful to know you, grateful to follow you. And I know that if I reach out to you, you'll respond back to me. But if there's something that you can say to our young generation, we're growing, we're still learning. Some of us don't know this type of learning even exists. What could you say to us today?
2 things I would emphasize, and that is that first and foremost, it is important to be aware of your surroundings and to be around people who are be intentional about selecting your group, right? Your posse, if I may. It's important that we are choosing people who are going to be a benefit of us. It has been written and it's been said many times, and I agree, that you are the sum total of the 5-6 people that you hang around the most. And so if you're around 5 people that are millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. If you're around 5 people that are knuckleheads, well, guess what? You're going to
be a knucklehead.
And so I say be very intentional in doing that. But the first thing I would like to encourage people to know is that you are your journey. Oftentimes we talk about it's not the destination, it's the journey. True. But you are the journey, and your path is just an observer.
Yes.
So master the path. And so my most sincere hope is that people would be conscious of themselves, realize what I would say is a fact, and that it's the journey is you, and working on yourself. And as I said, the path is just an observer, just an admirer of you. So master the path. And then secondly, and lastly, something I'm sure you've heard me say is that there's 10 2-letter words that will make you a better woman, will make you a better man, make you a better employee, certainly make you a better leader. And those 10 words are, if it is to be, it is up to me.
Oh, I love it, Raymond. I knew you were going to say that.
That brings all of the accountability onto ourselves. If it is to be, it is up to me. I will get up in the morning. I will be consistent. I will, seek out mentorship. And if I don't find it, I will take it upon myself to learn, grow, and go. Yes. And so if it is to be, it is up to me is a motto that I think people can stand on. And as they stand, elevate.
I love it. I love all of that, Raymond. Guys, make sure that you go follow Raymond. Raymond, where can we find you at on social media?
Sure. On social media, I'm Raymond D. Kemp on Facebook, Instagrams, and on LinkedIn, Raymond Kemp as well. My webpage is www.kemp-solutions.com. If anyone wants to discover their why, I'm trained, ready, and available to help you find your purpose.
Guys, he is that man. I am so grateful to have you today. Raymond, I want to thank you. Before we sign out, guys, just remember to go like, share, and subscribe to these channels. Go follow Raymond. He is definitely a certified keynote why speaker that can get you to your why if you don't know your why. Sure. Also, remember to master your path. Become more of yourself this year. We are being more authentically us. We're not being the person beside us. We're being us this year. It's not a new year, new me. It's more of me.
Yeah, right. I love it.
Yeah, so we are going to sign out today. This is episode number 53. Get in the room with Raymond Kemp. You guys have a great evening. Thank you, Raymond.
Take care.
Yeah.